Alright, now we're going to be taking a look at how to remove some of these little ripped areas all the way around the photograph, and also how to remove some of these dusty areas from the interior portions of this photograph. Now, I'm going to be utilizing some of the same tools that we've been using throughout this entire chapter. So let's go ahead first and we'll grab the spot healing brush. This is probably the most effective brush for using on photo restorations, simply because of its ability to clone specific spots out at an instant. So when we have a photograph like this that has several little dust spots on it, let me go ahead and decrease the size of the brush. All you have to do is come in here, be sure that you have sample all layers turned on, then come in here and just simply click to remove all of these little dust spots in here. You can go through and click all of these out, and it will be a very quick and painless process to just click and remove all these little dust marks throughout this photograph. And when you're finished with that, you'll be amazed at how unbelievably good the photograph looks simply by removing those little marks, because that's one of the things that detracts a lot from the appearance of an old photograph, is the fact that it's got all of those little marks and nicks and things all over it. So using the spot healing brush to fix small areas like that is really ideal. Now, around these edges, you'll see lots of these rips and tears and things all the way around this edge. So what we want to do is we want to be able to fix that without really having to reconstruct this entire border up here. So in order to do that, we're going to switch to the clone stamp tool. And with the clone stamp tool, I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer as well, because it has the ability to sample all layers much the same way that the spot healing brush does. So I'm going to go ahead now and select Sample All Layers from the Options dialog up here. And now I'm ready to use the clone stamp tool to fix some of these borders up here. So what I need to do is take a sample from one of these edges that's not really that bad. So for instance, this little area right in here is not really that bad. So I don't have that many nicks or scratches right there in that specific area. So I feel like that's a good place to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Option or Alt key right there in the middle of that, making sure that the middle of that crosshair goes right in between those lines right there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move my cursor over to where I'm supposed to be cloning out. And then I'm just going to move ever so slightly to the right to clone out those areas there. Now you'll notice here that you're going to get a little bit of an edge problem here because these are not perfectly straight. So what you're going to have to do is create multiple reference points as you go along here to make sure that you maintain that nice straight edge. Let's go ahead and show you again how to do this one more time. I'm going to be cloning out this portion of the edge right here. So I'm going to select an area just above it by holding down the Option or Alt key, and then I'm just going to drag straight down on that edge to paint out the area that I need to fix. Now you see there, by going straight down, I actually missed portions of it there. So what you need to do then is just undo. I'm doing that simply by hitting Control Z, and what I want to do now is just take this and we'll just brush out, trying to maintain that edge all the way down so that we have a perfectly straight edge when we're finished. Now, like I said, it's going to be a little bit difficult to maintain that straight edge simply because of the fact that these edges aren't straight to begin with. So just create multiple reference points as you go, and don't make too long of a stroke, because if you make a stroke that's too long, you're not going to be able to complete the restoration of that side. Now, another option for this would be to simply crop out this old photograph here and create your own new border around it. And that's very simple to do as well. All you have to do is make a selection around this with the rectangular marquee tool like so, and then you would simply copy this to a new document and then create your own border around it. But however, I know a lot of people like to maintain these old-fashioned borders like this, so it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's really going to be an effective way to remove these tears and rips and things like that. And also what you could use if you wanted to, instead of the clone stamp tool, which would be an even better solution possibly, would be to use the patch tool. So let's go ahead now. We'll take a look at the patch tool one more time and just how it might help you to better restore these edges of these photographs. So I'll go ahead and select the patch tool now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to create a composite of this image here to work from to utilize the patch tool on. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to hold down basically the entire left side of the keyboard because this is a really big keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to hold down Shift, Option, Command on Mac and hit the letter E key, or that would be Shift, Alt, Control E on the PC. And what that's going to do is just create a nice composite layer directly above all the current layers I'm working on. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a selection around this area with the patch tool, this little area right here. And what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to click and move this to create a nice patched area here, making sure that those edges line up properly. Then I'll Control D to deselect, and there we've effectively cloned out that little edge right there. Now we still have a little bit of a problem right in here, but that's a real easy fix. You could simply select that like so, and then just move that out just like that, and you would get rid of that little bump as well. So it's a very effective tool using the patch tool for edges simply because you can move those areas left to right or up and down to match those. So that might be a viable option for you too if you're having a little bit of trouble using the clone stamp tool. As you saw earlier, it's a little bit difficult, especially when the edges are not already straight, to go ahead and do that. But this is really an easy way to jumpstart your photo restorations and remove all of the areas that have been plagued by dust and scratches and all these little rips and tears and things like that.